The new Brooklyn Library at Eastern Parkway. This new building has replaced the old one that stood on this side, and one of the most modern in the country. The Grand Army Memorial, a reminder of yesterday at the entrance of Prospect Park. The original construction of Prospect Park began in 1866 and continued until 1874. Each year something new is added, but nothing is ever taken away.
By definition, New York City is constantly changing. It's always been changing, and it's still changing as this is being filmed. Couldn't give away snow shovels this year because this is the third least amount of snow in recorded history for New York City this year. I'm going to have to oil these before I put them away in the basement for next season. I don't understand how and why window shades lost their popularity in New York City, but not too many people put shades on their windows anymore. Are we all exhibitionists? I don't know. So nails were once upon a time sold bulk, by the pound, weighing them accordingly, and then you would buy whatever it is that you needed. Well, that's no longer available. Now you have to buy it all in a 1 pound box. Things are constantly changing. I am born, bred, and raised in Brooklyn, New York. I was born in 1951. This is the year 2020 already. I have seen changes, and it's still changing, obviously. But right now, this particular neighborhood in Brooklyn, Prospect Heights, is not only the center of Brooklyn, it's the center of the 5 boroughs. But when I was a young boy, this neighborhood was terribly degenerating. Crime was rampant. Buildings were being neglected and abandoned. Then they became harborages for the petty thieves. The neighborhood was absolutely and positively neglected. So it degenerated. And then it stayed degenerated for an extremely long period of time. A local artist living in the area that I've befriended and I'm still very good friends with, I gave her a series of maybe 20 photographs of the avenue from Sterling Place on this corner to St. John's Place on that corner. And I told her that I wanted her to paint what the avenue looked like because I knew that the avenue would eventually change. This is supposed to be myself coming out of the store. That's me. God rest his soul, this poor fellow died here in the store. This painting is dated from 1980. It even includes the purse snatcher, which was a common regular occurrence at that time. None of this exists anymore except for Mayday hardware. Even the sign is different because that sign became so bullet hole ridden that the sign literally fell off piece by piece off of the wall. It reminds me of just what it is that I had to live through because all of those bullet holes missed me. And then of course, right now, this neighborhood, it's become literally unaffordable for most. It has all of the things that anyone would want, which is why it's regentrified today to the point that it is. I'm going to answer that call. Hello, Mayday Hardware. Until this passes, Josh, there's no way that I'm going to do anything with keys for the time being. No shit, Sherlock. Of course. Thank you, Josh. You stay well yourself, and I'll speak to you when this pandemic passes, if and when it does. Thanks a lot, Josh. Okay, bye-bye. Okay. The year is 1964. Maybe it was 63. I'm 12 years old. Went to the parochial school directly around the corner and down the block. I had a shoe shine route up and down the adjacent Franklin Avenue. I would have a route that would take me from bar to bar to bar to bar with my little shoe shine kit and shine shoes. I was quickly identified by some local hooligans in the area as being the shoe shine boy. And they ran after me as I was walking up Sterling Place, the very adjacent block to here, and they were chasing after me to mug me for the coins that were most likely in my pocket. Well, to get out of harm's way, I ran into the first store that I could to just literally get out of harm's way. The man who owned this hardware store at that time, very large, heavy-set fellow, sees me come into the store, and he asks me, "Kid, what do you want?" And I pointed to the hooligans who were outside, and he said, "Well, those kids are trying to mug me." He says, "Well, you can't wait here." I said, "But mister, look at them." And they're outside taunting me to come out of the store. He said, "Well, if you're going to stay here, you're going to have to make yourself useful." And I looked quizzically at him, not understanding what it is exactly that he had meant. And he goes over to where the brooms are, and he takes a broom and he puts the broom in my hand. He says, "Sweep the floor." I says, "Whoa, you have a large store here. If I sweep your store, you're going to have to buy me a bottle of soda and a bag of chips." So I knew how to get a snack for myself after school every day. I had a job every day after school, during the summers, during college, as a young adult man, and now I own the place. Okay, welcome to the lower sanctum. This is the store beneath the store. Same size, of course, as the store up above, but this is what a real hardware store's working basement would look like. I have tools here that are older than I am, yet I still use them on a regular and ongoing basis. I'll show you something that you'll never see again, or that you probably have never seen yet. And that is a coal-burning furnace still operating. This very exact furnace, which I've named Old Betsy. Old Betsy's been through an awful lot. And she's still going, she's still humming. This furnace was probably built around 1904. And 20 years later, electricity finally came to this part of New York City. And Old Betsy is just strong as ever. When I first opened up this business, I had a partner, the very fellow that had put the broom in my hand so many years earlier. He and I joined together to purchase this property and store. He was Jewish, I'm Catholic, but he loved Christmas. He always enjoyed dressing up as Santa.
Hello, everybody. This is Santa Claus, down in Mayday Hardware's basement, where I have a secret workshop. Shh, don't tell Mrs. Claus. My secret stash of candy canes! Oh.
He would go up onto the roof of the building. We would call the fire department to rescue Santa Claus off of the roof. Truck would come from around the corner firehouse, put the hook and ladder up against the roof, and Santa would be rescued off of that roof. But after ownership together is 9 years, he passed away. But I still carry on the tradition of having Santa Claus come here year after year after year. Fire department regulations will not allow Santa Claus to be rescued off of the roof anymore. Things are always changing. I did find out subsequently later, as a more mature man, that this became a criminally sanctioned neighborhood. First, when Mayor Koch became mayor, he wanted to clean up Times Square. He didn't want the negative element to be in mid-Manhattan. He wanted them out of Manhattan, and where were they to go? Well, they chose areas like this. I've survived multiple riots.
It's one of the most controversial events in recent New York history. A car accident sent shockwaves through Crown Heights. 7-year-old Gavin Cato was killed.
I've survived a major fire here. I've survived other businesses being burned out here. Robberies, armed robberies, deaths of the merchants. And I've been able to do that through all of these years, now this being the year 2020. I am the pillar in this community. I've lived long enough to be a pillar in the community.
Hello. Do you have any face masks?
No, ma'am.
Huh?
Tomorrow.
Okay. What kind will you have?
The kind that you want.
Huh?
The kind that you want.
Okay. And how much will it be?
$4.50 each.
Thank you.
One more life-threatening episode that I'm dealing with. I'm here now providing the essentials that people need to go on with their daily lives through this crisis. Disinfectant, face masks, nylon gloves, hand cleaner, all of the things that we need in order not to be killed by this invisible enemy of ours that we're all fighting today, the COVID-19 pandemic. last year, I got a most interesting telephone call from one of my former classmates, fellas that I really don't see all that much of. I mean, let's face it, it's been 50 years. And they asked if I would mind receiving an award for community service for being the only business that has stayed stable in Prospect Heights for the past 1/2 century. I get a lot of letters. Which letter was yours? The pail has to have a flat edge where most pails are round. Let me get you the screws that you'll use for that.
But these anchors will be good, right?
No, they'll be perfect. You can have that as a gift. I can. I know the guy that owns this joint. He's not so bad. Look, let's face it, I'm just a retail clerk here. But I have stayed here for all of those years through all of the turmoil that has taken place in that roughly 1/2 century of time, that I'm still here right now dealing with a new crisis. I'm writing a book about my experiences here, both good and bad, the blackouts that I've seen, the race riots that I've seen, all of the trauma that I've seen here. It's unbelievable. This is my story. It's one of survival, tenacity, neighborhood degeneration, and re-gentrification. It's the story of a post-World War II Brooklyn and a kid who grew into a man that helped shape a neighborhood into what it is today. The title is Alive by Accident. My neighbors have been shot dead. I have not, and that's purely by accident. As I'm approaching retirement, I know that when I leave this, it will no longer be a hardware store. I know that when I sell this property, it'll be raised, which is a strange word for me to understand because it's being knocked down, not raised up. It's going to be leveled. Apartment houses will take its place. It'll be multi-stories. There'll be many families living here. I won't be here. I want to leave a legacy behind. This book will be my legacy.